Hello and welcome to the Team Talk. My name is Marc Iles and this is Wanderers Live on the YouTube. Thank you very much for joining us once again. And thank you very much also to the people who have subscribed early doors to this channel on the very first day. The OGs will get their reward, I promise, but not until we have reached 1,000 subs because basically we're not made of money. We're not made of money. This is another new format we're trying out. This may or may not air. This may or may not work. But it's something I've been thinking about for a while. And basically, it's midweek. We're all starting to look towards the match at the weekend. But what are the fans thinking? Well, thankfully, we've got three of them again here tonight. Welcome to Wayne, Tom, and Will. And I shall introduce them one at a time. Here is Wayne. How are you doing, my friend? You okay?
Oh, yeah, I'm good. I thought I was a still then, but no, yeah, I'm moving. Yeah,
no,
I'm all good,
am moving.
thank you.
I've got real moving parts. I'm good. We will move on. It is Tom. Tom is there. Tom, how are you doing?
Yeah, not so bad, thanks. And yourself?
Not too bad. And now, can we make it a hat trick? Here comes Will. There he is. Will, how are you doing,
All right,
Will?
Mark. Yeah, good. Nice to see you, lads.
Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. Right, listen. We're going to move in concentric circles here. So if I'm asking a question, we'll go from Wayne down to Tom and to Will. There we go. That's the way this is going to go. We'll go round and round like that. Okay. The first things first. Wanderers have got Luton Town at home, obviously, at the weekend. They're already in the playoffs. We can put that to one side. The maths is sorted for now. However, who you play, how it works out, and the fact that it would do Bolton possibly a lot of favours to nip Luton in the bud, being that they come into it as the form team. If Bolton win, they're guaranteed third, and also that Luton do not creep into those playoffs as the form team in the top six as such. So we're going to talk about, first off, the team that you would put out there on Saturday. And there are a few areas maybe that I reckon worth discussion. We'll start with the right back, because Jordi Osei-Tutu should have served his suspension. Does he come straight back in? Cyrus Christie played at Huddersfield. There is also the option of potentially going to a back three, I suppose, and playing a wing back. We'll start with you, Wayne. What would your choice be?
I think I'd put Osei-Tutu back in. I imagine he's been in the sideline serving his suspension, like, let me get back at it. And I think he's been one of our better performers throughout the season. He's not really had many dire performances. I've got more trust in him, so I'd like to put him back into the team, to be honest.
Your same question, Tom. Yep. Did Cyrus do much wrong, though, at Huddersfield? Sorry, at Huddersfield, at Bradford, rather.
So one thing I'd say on Cyrus Christie is the guy's a total professional, and you can see that from the way that he brings himself onto the pitch. However, would I say that his legs look like they potentially have gone? I would say so. As a fan, I think he brings a lot of stuff probably to the dressing room that we don't see. However, I think if you've got Jordi Osei-Tutu back from suspension, you've got to play your strongest side. And I believe that he is our strongest right back at the moment. So why not?
Will, obviously there was a statement made. Obviously he got his red card, which is what it is. But there was also a statement made with a lot of unpleasantness that was directed towards Jordi after that, rather. Will that affect him? Do you think he can come back in?
I would make it a hat trick and I would bring him back in. I agree with Tom. Will he be able to do 2 games in a week against top 6, top 7 opposition? Yeah, all day long, bring him in. I think he's been consistent for the majority of the season. I think he's got that pace as an outlet. I think he works well with Kozia Dewberry on the right. Maybe not as solid defensively as Cyrus Christie. But for me, absolutely bring him back in. And in regards to the off the field stuff, I'd hope he would use that as a motivation to say, hang on, people make mistakes. These things happen. I'm representing the club. I'm going to do my very best. And for me, all day long, bring it back in. And the proverbial kind of, I want to say, have that one back in your face kind of thing. I'm back in. I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to, do well with the lads. So for me, all day, straight back in.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope he does use it as a motivation. I'm 50-50. I think Cyrus has done a decent job. He's obviously coming towards the end of his career, but I think you're right in as much as he is very important behind the scenes. He's certainly one of those that players turn to for advice and as a sounding board and such like. And even the manager and the coaching staff turn to Cyrus and ask a little bit of him. But yeah, I think with the relationship with Coach Dubry on the right side, I suspect if he's available and A-OK, he will come back in. One person who may not be available is Sam Dolby. Now, obviously, he's had this ankle issue that he's managed over the last few weeks. I think potentially his performances have suffered a little bit, not massively, but a little bit. But because he's had that ankle problem, he's also then developed issues on his other side of his body and ended up with a calf issue and with a slight knee issue. Now, he is our top scorer. We'll start with you, Wayne. Do you risk him? Do you keep him for the playoffs?
Okay, first let me say, a few weeks ago I was thinking, you know what, it's mad how much criticism he got at the beginning of the season for not getting the goals, not doing the business. And then January, February, I start thinking, this guy's turning out to be one of our best players of the season, going into March as well. And I just think he's done so well to turn it around. And he's been one of my favourite ones this season. But Burstow has been doing well in the minutes that he's had on the pitch. And you can see that I feel as though Dalby does need just a little rest just to get himself, I don't know, a bit more better. So I would put Burstow in instead of Dalby this week.
Interesting. So if Dalby is ready, Tom, is it worth risk? I mean, it's not a risk necessarily putting him on the bench, I suppose. But would you just give him a week off? As Wayne said there, Burstow did play very well at Bradford.
Yeah. So for me, I think if you're fit enough to be on the bench, and I've always thought this, you're fit enough to start. Is he fit enough to start the game? No. So it's simple. Don't put him on the bench. I think, like you said there, the criticism that he got, people do forget he come to Bolton and got injured very early on. And then he was building himself up and up and up. And if you look from January, I think he's been absolutely flogged out there. And like you said, he's been injured. Carrying that injury probably hasn't helped him. And his performance perhaps have dipped. I mean, his hold-up play, I must say, has been excellent this season. Absolutely brilliant. But for me, I'm with Wayne. I think Burstow done really well just behind Kenny at Bradford away. I wouldn't risk him. I know it's a massive game. We are in the playoffs. We're trying to get that third and fourth spot. However, does he stop us from getting that being injured on the pitch?
Can I just come back in here? You know what? One reason why I think Burstow's playing really well now, and why Dalby played really well, I think it's Johnny Kenny. Brilliant. I think Johnny Kenny is bringing out the best in these type of strikers, and they're loving it. Sometimes Burstow's he's had these moments of a bit of swagger, and I like it. Kind of like at the start of the season, and I'll even say that if I could have any loan as a permanent signing next year, it would be Johnny Kenny over Cozy Dubry.
I'm going to say, I think Fergal will probably disagree. I think we'll take Mario and then sell him for £8 million. I'd imagine. Will, I mean, look, I think to be fair, Wayne's touched on something there. I think he has brought something. Johnny Kenny has brought something out of both players, and no question about it. I think everybody, Sam Dolby. Yeah, absolutely.
I think everybody.
He's brilliant. He's been brilliant, hasn't he? Just full stop.
Yeah, outstanding, great player, technical awareness. But I also like he's a winner, Mark. He's a winner. Everything about him. He's gritty. He's aggressive. He's looking to get on the front foot. He's a smart player. And I think over these last sort of 2 or 3 weeks, with him getting up to speed, the lads have done a lot better. Obviously, they played well against Huddersfield. Should have been 3 or 4-0 up at half time. He played really well in that game. Sharp finish again there. Played well against Bradford. And I just see that little bit of an edge with him that the other lads benefit from. I really do.
He's very demanding, isn't he? He's very demanding. of his teammates and that. And I think the rising to, he'll give a shout to someone else like in the team, and I think it's really good for the rest of the team.
I think the Bolton fans thrive off his passion and that desire on the pitch. And when you've seen him, it might not mean a lot, but when he grabbed his shirt and really went for it when he scored at Bradford, as we were in the away end there, it means that little bit extra, doesn't it? I think. Does to me,
he's off the ball. He's off the ball. Works really good. He's just an intelligent player. And obviously, if you're seeing it live, you can see it all. Yeah. In its full glory. Sometimes you miss bits and pieces on the telly. But for me, smart player, taking us up a level, and obviously coinciding that with Mario coming back, I think that's given the lads a little bit of a boost. I really do. Bit of aggression, bit of pace. I was really impressed with him on Saturday at Bradford. Bar, dare we say, that vulnerability, mistake, avoidable goal. They didn't look massively under pressure for the majority of that game against a home team that had, nearly 21,000 for them.
And they had to win, really.
They did.
Well, this is it. Has the pressure brought something out of Bolton? Because we all said this running was going to be a nightmare. And the way that Bolton were playing, I think a lot of us suspected, are Bolton going to drop out of the playoffs? Is this going to be an absolute nightmare finish for the season? But actually, I think what you've seen is it's pressure makes diamonds and all that. We have seen certain players really rise to the fore. And do you know what? I'm going to say it. I reckon Sissoko, with a bit of pressure on him, has come to the fore as well. I think he was brilliant against Bradford. I think he's been excellent when he's been called upon this last few times now. And I reckon he's ahead of Gale when you're talking about the team on the Saturday. What do you reckon, Wayne? You're first in command. Go on.
Can I just say, let's calm down a little bit? I know.
Oh, right. Okay, fair enough then. It's the step ups that do it for me.
It is. It's a step up. They're blinding, aren't they? Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I love Sissoko. I love his passion. He plays with a smile on his face, and he's the kind of player we all want him to do well. We do. But I just think overall this season, Gale has offered a bit more. And when it comes to naming the team on Saturday, I don't know. I just think Schumacher, he's just got to look at how they're doing in training and who seems to want it more, who's got their head switched on. I won't be upset if it's Sissoko. I won't be upset if it's Gale. It's a tough call, that one. That's the toughest call out of all the positions that we're discussing for me.
Sometimes it's a pace thing. Sometimes it's whether you think the opponent's going to sit back, and Sissoko is arguably better at maybe taking that game too, and a bit more of a dribbling player as opposed to Thierry's raw pace in behind is sometimes a thing. So I mean, what type of team are Luton? I suppose they were quite expansive at Kenilworth Road. That's certain.
Mm-hmm. That's it. I mean, I think maybe if they take a look at the opposition and see what kind of player they have as a right back, and they'll just see, who would suit attacking them better, Gale or Sissoko.
Tom, do you have a preference, pal?
So for me, I think we all know that if Luton win, there's a good chance, they could sneak into the playoffs due to the fact that, one of the hardest and an amazing fixture, I think. My mum lives in Torquay in Devon, so I've always quite liked watching Exeter, and they really, really need to win. Not only that, they're hoping for 2 other games elsewhere. Do you know what I mean? But I think that'll be a hard game. Do I think that Luton are going to come here and attack us? I think they have to. I would say they have to come and press us. So for me, it's harder. I think Sissoko was unbelievable against Bradford. I would actually say that hands down was his best performance in a Wanderers shirt. And I thought he was brilliant. Gale's sheer pace around the back of a team pressing you, though, just that ball over the top. But if you're missing Dolby, you maybe don't have that knock on to him. So it's all, that's what he gets paid his money for, the manager. I do believe that Sissoko, at the moment, on his current form, warrants a start. I don't think it would be fair to drop him at all. So I think he will go with that. I do believe that he will stick to the same 11, other than, as we talked about earlier, I do think 2-2 is going to come in the fold.
He could start him at right back, couldn't he? Because he did really good in that position for 2 minutes.
2 minutes
One
to go.
start, one goal. That's what I'm saying.
Good record, that.
Listen, Will, I'll link in with another thing there, because actually one of the things that I always say about that left-hand side is there's been a lot of discussion about the left side of the defence, whether George Johnson is a natural left back, whether Max Conway is better there, albeit he's learning the game, maybe kind of isn't a natural fullback, more of a wing back. Whether Bolton should have invested more in January on that side of the defence, we're not really sure. But sometimes I do look further forward and look at the defensive cover they get on that side. Is it better with Sissoko? Is it better with Gale? Would it be a nightmare playing behind both of them? What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, you have to ask me the most difficult question.
Listen, I never said this was going to be easy.
No. I would personally. I'll come back to part of the question. I would play Sissoko as a starter, because I think he's the epitome of a confidence player. I think he obviously scored the last-minute goal against Huddersfield. He then played really, really well and was complimented massively so by the Bradford, not only their management team, but also their fans as well. Defensively, if I was playing left back, I look at it this way, I wouldn't feel massively comforted with either.
No, I agree.
Yeah, true.
If I'm honest. I think they tried as much as they could to put trust in Richard Taylor, which has obviously not worked. That was one option at left back. Max Conway, I like the idea, but I'd miss the experience. Would I go with Conway over Johnston? Yeah, I would, because I see too many mistakes over the last 2 games with Johnston. And he's been a great servant, but it's been against 2 teams that are in and around us.
Will, do you think that that's just purely down to the fact that he's been moved out to the left instead of left centre half? Potentially.
That all comes down to the recruitment question that we were looking at, doesn't it? It's one of them. It's damned if he does and damned if he does. He's always going to be the scapegoat when there's a player playing out of position, which he is. Let's be fair, in his tenure at Bolton, he's playing out of position. And it's a difficult gig. It is a difficult gig because at the minute he's the only one where we can say, well, he's playing out of position. It's his fault. Well, whose fault is it really? Is it Johnston's fault, or is he in a position where he's the best fit right now? So some
players will just do a job. Some players will just do a job if they are asked to do it. And Jono strikes me as that type of guy. He has been asked to do that job. Sometimes that doesn't work in your favour.
Absolutely. If Cyrus Christie was left-footed with his experience, then that might work. So we haven't got the equivalent on that side. It's an area of vulnerability for me if we're going against teams of higher level opposition. And when it comes to playing against teams in and around you, you need to be on it. If you're going to go through a playoff campaign, you need to be on it and you need to minimise your mistakes. But he hasn't played there for the majority of the season, so it's not always his fault. So I guess I'm sitting on the fence a little bit here for him. But
so is the way
I would go Conway.
You'd go Conway.
I would.
So does that involve a system change then, Wayne? If you're going to do Conway, would you? People have, I sit there and look at the experts on Twitter and on Facebook, and everybody's telling me that he just needs to slip into a back 5 and a back 3, and should be playing 3-4-3 and all this kind of stuff. Is it a system change that is necessary?
Yeah, this issue. It just makes us do this, just like shake our. It's a tough one to solve because, don't do it. Don't do a system change. I don't think I would do Conway though. I think I'd go George Johnston, to be honest. But that's because I think he knows how to put a tackle in better, and he's just better defensively. And I know this. I don't know this. I'm quite sure. I think Luton are going to get at least 1 goal. I can't remember the last time they didn't score one. I think they're scoring in every game recently, at least once. So they are going to come at us. And I just feel I want someone in there who's going to get a tackle in.
Do you not think that his positioning, though, if you watch the 2 goals against Huddersfield, his positioning, the way his body was set, was opposite how Conway would be set. Yeah. So them balls that were going in behind him every time, that's balls going over a centre half, not a left back. If you look at Kyle Wootton down at Stockport at the moment, unreal defender at heading the ball, but you get Cozy Dubry running in behind him, he wouldn't stand a chance. And I sort of see, not as much because obviously George Johnson is a defender, but I do see similarities in the way that sometimes he's not wide enough and he does creep over, which is natural, and you can't blame him for that. It's his natural position, but sometimes it does just leave them wingers with far too much space in behind him.
I think that's a product of the way they're being asked to play, because especially when Jordi Osei-Tutu's playing on that right-hand side, is they do slip in to being a 3 with George on that left-hand side. And sometimes if you are going to switch to play that quickly, yes, he can get found quite narrow. But I think that's more of a tactical thing than it is necessarily Johnson not being able to play fullback. It's just the way they've gone.
And then you'd argue then the pace, don't you?
Well, no, absolutely,
Is Conway quicker? If that's the way that we are going to play, and they will attack us, and we all know that Luton aren't coming here. They need the points. So
Look, Luton are combative. They're quick. They can use the ball absolutely, and they're in good form. The only other selection issue that I look at is we're speaking today on Wednesday. There's been a B team game today. There's Zav Simons in there has played today against Blackburn. So has John McAtee. Ethan Errahan is also on the horizon. How soon he's back is maybe a question mark. He's certainly due back in training at the minute. Now, there has been a blend in midfield over the last few games against very good opposition, where you've been asking Josh Sheehan and Ruben Rodriguez to be effectively your defensive midfielders. Is there a little bit of hope on the horizon now? I'll start with Will because is there a bit of hope on the horizon that there's that defensive blend in midfield, maybe not for Saturday, but potentially into the playoffs?
I think to see games out, you're going to need that natural defensive player to come in. Maybe a second leg, last 20 minutes to go. But I've been quite surprised with Ruben Rodriguez, to be honest, Mark. I think he's shown that little bit of a nitty-gritty side to him and getting stuck in, which I thought he was going to be more of a creative type of player. So I have been impressed with him. However, maybe it's a little bit old school in me to see games out. I think you need that little bit of natural positioning from a defensive-minded position. I think that's attractive in playoffs. But they need to be fit. And they need to be match fit, which is the different. It's okay dropping into a playoff semi-final when you're trying to secure a lead or keep a lead and you've not played for 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
Dion Charles, Ricardo Santos, Paris Magoma. Bolton don't need to get stung by half-fit players again, do they?
Exactly my point.
Yeah.
So would we are we in agreement that we'd start with Rodriguez and Sheehan on Saturday?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, Simons has obviously played for the B team today.
Yeah.
He is more of that kind of defensive type, but he hasn't played a lot of football recently. And to draft him in at this point in time, I don't know. Maybe that's a risk.
That's mad, that, because he featured so heavily earlier in the season. And I thought he was one of our better players. Like, what happened there?
I think he had a bit of a dip off, didn't he? In form, I don't know if he fell out of favour slightly and the manager went a different way. But for me, I agree with you. I think the Simons and Errahons of the world, for us as Bolton fans right now, if we're being totally realistic, are unbelievable signings, I believe, for the next step up. When we are going to be under more pressure. I think when we're in League One, we usually are more of the, offensive side, on the ball, wanting to create, wanting to get forward. And just for me, I don't think, because like you said, Will, that he is just a total out and out centre defensive midfielder, really.
Yep.
What does he create right now? I think, he's only young. We signed him on, was it a 4-year deal? I think he'll be, if we do, fingers crossed, go up, I think he will be a very, very important player for us next season. I really do.
Fair point.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. There's been a lot of discussion about signing for players that can step up that level on the longer term contracts, and they will be assets, etc. It's very much on the shoulders of the sporting director. I think Fergal has this vision. We shall see whether the vision works out. I hope it does. But how confident should we be? This is the thing. So as I said at the top there, I feel over this kind of very difficult run-in, with the exception of that poor performance at Cardiff, Bolton have done themselves a lot of favours. I'm hearing a lot more kind of positivity around the fan base. I'm hearing a little bit more encouragement with the Johnny Kenny playing well. The attacking unit seems to be coming together. How confident? We'll start with Wayne. How confident are you now that Bolton can avoid what has happened twice before in League One in this playoff run?
I have confidence.
Yeah,
I have confidence. Yeah, but cool.
Bolton. Cut it there. Right, that's it. That's it. Game set match.
Well, you've always got to put a little mark there and think, but it is Bolton. You know what? Like, Stockport lost last night to Port Vale.
Yeah,
that's mad. And so that just tells me that, bloody hell, it's there for the taking. The Stockport are losing. We had the bet. We played really well against Bradford. 6th position, I believe it's still Stevenage now. We saw what happened against them. My fear is Luton creeping into it, to be honest. They're the ones that I fear. They're in the best form, I think, actually.
They've lost 2 games since February.
Oh, don't like that.
I'm sure it's something like that.
They certainly lost. They haven't lost since March the 7th, I think it is.
Something like that.
And Plymouth only lost once. That was against Bolton.
Yeah, it was against us. I think for me, Wayne, what you're saying now about Luton, I think, there's all this talk about who do you want, who don't we want. Do you know what I mean? I think genuinely, the Bolton Wanderers' toughest test for the rest of the season is this Saturday. I honestly believe that. I think if we can win that game, we stop the informed team in the league getting into the playoffs, who then we will probably end up playing potentially if, Barnsley beat Stockport. We'll play them home and away then, Luton. I think definitely. I think this Saturday, it's essentially, I seen someone put on X the other day, it's almost a quarter final, and I do believe that this could be our biggest test because, we've lost 1 game at home, I believe, against Mansfield all season. So really, am I confident? I am confident. I don't think that we should necessarily be overconfident because that has hit us and hurt us in the past. Oxford at Wembley, for example, I do believe that, we probably went there just thinking it was a jolly and look what happened. And then their best player comes and signs for us. But I do think that stopping Luton is the biggest test. I really do, because anyone else, I think, over 2 legs, and I know we've got this a bit of hoodoo with Stockport, but if you look at their, as we touched on earlier, their defence and the way they've played, they've got 3 points out of 12. I genuinely believe that they are there for the taking as well.
Yeah.
Go on then, Will. Go on then. See us home with a bit of confidence, mate.
I'm with Tom. I think you should always keep the form team away from you, because I look at the other 3 that are in there at the minute. Stockport have won 2 of the last 6. Stevenage doing okay. Bradford haven't won in 4. You would want that form around you rather than someone who has only lost 2 out of 11. However, Bolton have only won 1 of the last 9 games against 11 players. The only other win was against Stevenage, and they were down to 10. So the performances over the last 2 games, I think, have been really good. But we need to be consistent, and you need to win 3 games, ideally. Well, you can get away with your first leg at 1 goal deficit, potentially. But you've then got to win at home. You've then got to win at Wembley. And we have only won 1 out of the last 9.
We should probably play Sissoko then, so he can dazzle them with his tricks and get them down to 10 men or something. Get a red card.
It's there right in front of our eyes, really, isn't it? It's easy. When you break football down, it's just easy.
Yeah.
And it's a massive confidence thing as well. And when I left on Saturday, I felt as though it was a good performance and it wasn't a negative environment that we were in. The fans were quite confident. The atmosphere was reasonably positive, and we need that too. That has to be important to get the lads on. I think we'll get the final. I really do. But we've got to, like Tom says, keep the form team out of the way because they're dangerous. Form teams are dangerous. They have momentum, they have confidence, they have ability, and they have absolutely nothing to lose on Saturday, Luton. Nothing. It's a win-win.
Well, their season's over if they don't win.
It is, Tom. Absolutely. They've got to go
all out. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They'll probably, I expect Luton to come out as kind of like the Huddersfield game, when they really had to get the win. I'm expecting a similar type of game. What we mustn't do is, I think, Mark, you read an email on your podcast the other week. When we concede a goal, we need to reset quickly and not be vulnerable to concede another goal quickly, because that has happened a few times. So Luton, I do think they'll score. If they do score, we need to be back on it immediately and not be wondering, what went wrong there? Okay, because we don't want the goals pouring in from them.
I think for me, 7 times this season, by the way, within, I think it's something like 3 minutes that has happened. The old 1-2.
It's not good enough, that though, is it? No. You've got to say.
No, and it just smacks a little bit. I think Steven Schumacher has said it's not so much a case of you kind of wallowing in pity. He thinks his players are trying to go straight away and try and score that extra goal straight and leave yourself vulnerable.
Yeah.
Rather than maybe just mellow, accept it, reset, keep your structure. They lose it quite quickly. That's the way he looks at it. I can accept there are other people that just think that is a mentality issue, and all of a sudden it's kind of like World War III. Look, other options are available. Other opinions rather are available. But yeah, I mean, it has happened. It has been an issue. When Bradford scored on Saturday, I was like, oh God. There was enough time for them to go and get another one.
Yeah.
There was pressure, but they rode it out just about. They were okay. I think they were quite solid. That for me is a step forward.
I agree.
I have a question for everyone that wasn't on it. No.
That's the other show.
Just a quick one. Bonham. I think since January, a lot of people, he gets a lot of grief. I actually believe he's had a very positive input on the side. I actually think he's a lot more steady than when we had Teddy Sherman-Law. I think even though everyone went on about his passing and distribution, I actually think if you look at the ball that Bonham played, was it to Kenny at home to Huddersfield, was absolute sensational. I do actually think that we'd probably have 9 more points if we'd have had Bonham or a more solid number 1 from the start of the season. I think we risked it a bit with, and don't get me wrong, he had a fantastic season last year at Doncaster. So, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I do think perhaps letting go of Baxter and Southwood maybe kicked us a bit.
Doncaster, well, look, I think there was a time where I was expecting to write the post-mortem on Bolton's season as being about a season of goalkeeping decisions.
Yeah.
And for both goalkeepers, Sharman Lowe and Tyler Miller, to disappear, nobody was necessarily shedding any tears at that point in time. But the fact that you had to replace an entire goalkeeping department in January is not ideal. That could still be a defining point in Bolton's season. I do actually agree there. I do agree that Bonham has had a little bit too much grief. Goalkeepers, that's the life of a goalkeeper. If you make any sort of mistake, it seems to be like the worst thing in the world. But I think he's done a lot of good as well. And certainly, as we said about Christie before, that character does lend a little bit of extra kind of strength elsewhere.
I'd agree.
Yeah, I think for me, he does the job. I'm not going to say he's the best player in the team. He's had a couple of matches where I thought he was man of the match. But I don't know. I guess
what have goalkeepers got to do to get man of the match, though? I mean, I always think, unless you can have a goalkeeper that's not made a save all game and you barely notice him. So a goalkeeper's got to be, to get a man of the match, he's got to make several saves.
Well, that's a good question, but I would just say making a significant impact on the game. If it's prevented it from being like another scoreline, I guess. But you know what? Like a couple of years ago, we had James Trafford, and we were so spoiled to have him. And you know what? Do you not remember?
Whatever happened to him anyway?
We played with. Well, I don't know. We had a bit of confidence that it's okay. Trafford will sort it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But I just wonder how confident the outfield players are of having Bonham as number one.
Good shout. Yeah, good shout. Yeah, that's a fair point. And look, I mean, I covered the club at a time where Jussi Escalainen was sat behind, and you just never had any worries in any way, shape, or form that he was there. He was going to be fine. There would be the odd mistake once in a blue moon, but you'd never made a big thing out of it because it was Jussi.
And you had Al-Absi on the bench as well.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, and just in case Ian Walker, the England international, might just nip one as well. It was all right. I think
that's not helped. That's not helped the current goalkeepers because of the history of the club.
No,
we associate having really good goalkeepers. So whoever comes in, it is a challenge and it is a bit of a battle to win over our fan base, shall we say?
Look, you are hard people to please. I know that. I read Twitter. Don't worry about that. Right. Well, I'll tell you what. One thing I know will be the case is to be pleased with this show, because I think we've got through a fair amount. But before you go, I'm going to have a prediction from every single one of you. Wayne, tell me what is going to happen on Saturday against Luton Town.
It's going to be a rock and roll game of football. I'm going to go Bolton 3, Luton 2.
Ooh, right. And next, Tom?
2-1, Kenny first goal scorer.
Excellent stuff. And to complete the trio, Will?
1-1.
1-1.
I think they'll push. They'll push. Yeah, we'll have yours as well. I think they'll push, and they'll keep pushing. And I think we'll get them on the counter, because whilst we need to worry about Luton, if they're pushing, they need to worry about us as well, because we've got dangerous players and we mustn't forget that.
Absolutely. I am not starting my match report until 89 minutes, and then I might not have to rip it into shreds like so many disbanded match reports I've done this season. Listen, gents, you guys have been absolutely fantastic. This has been the first team talk of hopefully a successful run. I know we're getting towards the end of the season, so it's a bit of a strange time to actually start something up, but this is it's all a learning curve. Keep saying it for YouTube. We will definitely be back for the playoffs. We will definitely be back, hopefully, for next season as well. But if anybody is watching this and hasn't subscribed to our YouTube channel, then bloody well do so. Because, this isn't, just doing this for free, I need to monetize this quick, or else otherwise Daddy doesn't get a summer holiday. Right. But to all three, Wayne, Tom, Will, you've been absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much. This has been the Team Talk. I've been Marc Iles, and this is Wanderers Live. Thank you very much.